Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Joe Emilio Show. I'm your host, Joe Emilio, and as promised, I have with me here Herman Roos, who is a local South African
Okay,
tobacco
hang on,
farmer.
just shift the camera. Okay, cool.
There we go.
Sorry, I had to adjust the camera.
No worries. But, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, Herman
Well, I
Roos
should
here with
just.
us. As he adjusts himself, Herman, how are you doing, man?
I'm well, Joe. Just had a hectic day out, so nothing abnormal on the that's not part of farming. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually looking forward to tonight's show. To be quite honest.
Yeah, me too, man. I've been looking forward to it ever since we arranged for it. Um, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, and I've definitely, gotten a lot of interest because you told me, EWC Bill should be the least of our worries, and you explained to me why. But I would like you. I'm going to give you the opportunity to explain to people why. But maybe we should start there. So the EWC Bill was passed through last week. And you, as a South African farmer, say, least of our worries. Take it away.
Sorry, guys. Joe, yes. First of all, I think we should differentiate in South Africa between hype and what's going on in reality. A lot of people, sorry, I just want to open the chat so that I can see if somebody's asking questions. There's a lot of political hype around a bill, and a bill is nothing what it is. It's a law that was passed, a law that can be contested in court, uh, a law that can still go to the Constitutional Court. So I'm not really stressed about it at this stage, although before everybody grabs their pitchforks and their tars and feather, um, yes, this is dangerous because it does show us the intent of what the ruling party wants to do in South Africa. But, and this is the big but, we as farmers in South Africa currently have much bigger concerns facing us in the short term than a law and a bill that was passed last week that, as I said, can take years to implement. First of all, yes, the bill can be interpreted in so many ways. We must understand that December comes December, it is the ANC's Congress. 5 years ago, they were given a mandate and they were told to implement EWC. Up until now, they couldn't change the constitution. So we must understand that this thing is politicking. It is utmostly politicking from the ANC side. And I think if you read most of the um, uh, excuse nou vang my Afrikaans my media statements from people, you were that basically it boils down to yes, it's dangerous, but it is politicking, and this thing can still go to constitutional court. What we as farmers are currently facing, and this is the first thing I want to actually talk about tonight, and I'll constantly refer back to EWC, so people should understand. Eskom at this stage is a much bigger threat.
And because of load shedding, obviously.
Jim, I don't think the viewers out there understands the impact of load shedding on the agricultural sector. To give a simple idea, if it takes you 4 hours to wet your garden, to irrigate your garden in town, that's a small piece, right? For me to irrigate 20 hectares takes 48 hours. That's to put down 20 millimeters. Takes 48 hours. Now, with power cuts in between, that 48 hours of 20 millimeters irrigation becomes 72 hours. All right. So I'm losing a day of irrigation every 3 days. And eventually, I'm running out of time to irrigate my crop and I'm getting damage on my crop. And also South Africa, most of our production, winter wheat happens under irrigation. This is now becoming a serious problem and it's harming crops a farmer that would have harvested between 6 and 7 tons of wheat might now harvest between 4 and 5 tons. And at the current price of a ton, that he's losing 14 to 21,000 rand.
Yeah, which is not well, it's a lot of money, which I'm sure the farmers need. So, but that's with wheat. What why don't you? Does it also affect your tobacco? Because I know you're a tobacco farmer. So how does it affect you?
Every crop. The reality is, I'm just referring to wheat now because we are now in a very dangerous part of our wheat production. The vegetable farmers are being affected by this. So your fresh veggies on the at the shop is now also seriously affected by this, and everything that needs water is affected by load shedding. It's costing money because eventually we end up implementing expensive methods to just keep our crops going. We're spending more money to keep our crops from and keep our crops surviving, just to survive.
Yeah, and if
And
you
this is detrimental.
sorry, if you spend more money to keep your crops going, that means your costs go up, which means all up the food chain in a way the prices keep going up as well for the consumer.
That's the thing, and eventually, um, everything is offset to the consumer, and that offset is what's raising the inflation basket. Uh, we we talk about inflation being at 6.5, 7%. Inflation in reality is actually much higher in South Africa. And I know there's a lot of people saying out there, yeah, but it's the basket of what the everyday person uses. Yes, but the inflation that we have experienced as farmers in South Africa is closer to 14%. So eventually that will be offset through the value chain to you as a consumer in the end. And the major thing is people can't eat less.
Yeah, that's also true. And you know, I something that I noticed in the shops. I don't know if you would know anything about it, but basically for the past 2 weeks, maybe it's changed now. I haven't been to shops in 2 days, but for the past 2 weeks, I've been trying to find French fries that you get in the packets that you can freeze and then you fry it later in the oil or air fry or whatever. Those seem to be really out of stock. I've been to Checkers Hyper, I've been to Checkers near me, I've been to Pick and Pay, I've been to Woolworths. They only have sweet potatoes, like sweet potato French fries. They do not have the normal straight cut French fries, and that feels like there's a problem now with potatoes or something. I don't know. Is there a problem in the agriculture with potatoes? Is it happening?
Um, Joe, I can't say for a fact that there is something wrong in the potato industry. What happened a year ago or two, just as we started exiting lockdown, there was a huge production problem in the potato industry. So if this is what the people are experiencing, is the lag on effect of what happened in lockdown. Um, I can't say. I'm not clued up on the potato industry. If there's potato farmers tonight or people that is much more clued up, can explain to me. But like everything else, there's a lag effect
Okay.
before you as a consumer start experiencing things. And this is what makes agriculture in South Africa um, actually the most important component. As a primary production, the domino effect. Um, when we entered lockdown, major businesses were closed down. They felt the immediate effect of lockdown. I don't know if you remember, I spoke just during lockdown with the tobacco thing. I spoke to Ramon and German U, and I said, the domino effect is going to be very, very slowly. It's going to happen fast, click, 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 and then it's going to slow down and slow down, slow down. Agriculture is the last brick. Your primary industry is your last brick to fall. But unfortunately, as the momentum starts slowing down, it's also transferring energy. And we are now experiencing in the agricultural this lagging effect or this domino effect. We can see that worldwide political movements, decisions that was made 2 years ago, now showing in the agricultural industry regarding price, rising prices. If you take a simple thing like cooking oil, a year ago, cooking oil was for 2 liters 30, 40 rand. It's now between 80 to 100 rand a liter, if I'm correct. So we must understand that whatever you experienced 2 years ago in lockdown, we are starting to get the ripple effect or domino effect now, only now in the agricultural sector. Unfortunately, this thing is like a hula hoop. What comes around goes around. And whenever we start failing, you as a consumer, you as a South African will immediately feel the brunt.
And so the effects that you're experiencing now, for example, with load shedding, is this something that the consumers will only feel in maybe a year's time?
Joe, I do believe we're going to feel, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, there are economists that do not agree with me. I call them fair weather economists, and let's call them fair weather economists. Yes, I think we're going to feel it faster. The consumer is going to feel it faster because as we are, as farmers, are becoming more and more under pressure with our profit margins being cut, we have to start forcing basically our buyer to pay us a higher price, or else we will be out of the game. So if we start asking the buyer 20 rand today, he paid 15 rand yesterday, the buyer, the shop will immediately increase its price that same day. So whatever price increase we as farmers have today, you will see it immediately tomorrow on the shelves. That is unfortunately how the system works. Although, as I said, the impact of what started 2 years ago is only catching up with us in the agriculture sector now, regarding fertilizer, regarding chemical compounds, regarding a lot of things. But another thing with Eskom, and that's where we should actually start digging our heels in. Why do I, as a farmer, pay a day rate on renting the pole? Because we pay a pole rent directly to Eskom. We are not contracted by a municipality. But in a month, I'm off for 10 days. If you cumulatively put the hours together, 10 days out of a month, I'm without power. Why do I have to pay that amount? And still, because I've lost 10 days of production effectively out of 30 days, I have to recuperate that money somehow.
Yeah. And I guess it's not viable for farmers to get like solar or generators and such. It's going to be too expensive, I imagine. It's going to add to your costs.
Joe, I'm running a generator here, because, and that's not for my irrigation. To run a 45 kilowatt pump, and that's one of my pumps. To run that thing, I need a 100 kVA generator just for that pump. That thing swallows 20 liters of diesel an hour. So do the math. Do the math. That thing costs me to run 480, 500 rand an hour to run. Whereas Eskom would have costed me maybe between 80 and 100 rand an hour.
Yeah.
on that same pump. So cost effectively wise, it's not that effective. The
Mm.
problem with solar, and that's the major thing, I cannot put up a battery system. To put up a 200 kilowatt battery system that can give me a 12-hour supply with a solar system that's equivalent of the amp hours to charge those batteries and give me enough power to run will cost me nearly 25 mil.
What? Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's not worth it.
Problem is not the solar panel. That's the thing. Everybody looking, oh, solar, brilliant, it's not that expensive. Yes, the solar panel is not the problem. That's the cheap part. The problem is the batteries, it's
Yes.
the inverters. Um, because the solar panel runs on DC, it needs to be changed over to AC. So there's inverters, there's transformers that's needed. So yes, during the day I can get the solar panel system. It will cost us. Well, I've got a quotation about 2 million, and it will supply me with about 75 kilowatts. All right. Here's the thing with solar. Um, During the best time of the year when I need the energy from solar, we have rain.
Yeah.
So your what we call your effective generation capacity on solar for a agricultural sector is currently not viable. We still need Eskom.
Mm.
And most of your solar units that you put up will supply power, but the moment Eskom goes off, it stops supplying power because it's a safety mechanism not to feed uh, power into the grid or to cause electrocution when Eskom is off.
Mm.
So that is what people should start understanding. Green energy at this stage is not feasible or viable for the agricultural sector unless we can generate as farmers enough energy for our consumption during the day on the farm, plus a little extra, and sell that back to Eskom. That will start helping to take a lot of pressure during the day of the grid.
Mm.
But the problem is when the sun goes down, we don't have the
Yeah.
capacity to generate. But still, South Africa needs energy at night. We still need to run our pumps at night.
Yeah.
Farming has now become a stage where we are literally 24 hours running our farms.
Yeah. Jeez. So you're working around the clock just to make up for the hours that you've missed, basically.
Oh, Joe, to give you an idea, I have I've employed a person that are working at night just to make sure that when the power comes back on, that the pumps are started. Remember, we work in a canal system. Most of South Africa's irrigation systems work in a canal system. So um, when we apply for water to have a certain amount of water for the week. If the power goes off, that water doesn't stop flowing. It still keeps on flowing into my dam. So I have to have somebody that checks that my dams don't overflow, that I cause damage to my dams, and when the power comes back on, I need somebody to start the pumps. So it's becoming a bit of a, a game that you play at night.
Mm.
Sleeping, sometimes it's not sleeping. Sometimes I have to be up at 1 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock at night, just to go and check
Yeah.
did my employee do his job as he should.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting tough for farmers, and the next topic I want to talk about as well, which actually was it's a question from Voot, which I mean we were going to talk about this anyway. Was he asks Herman Roos, how is the world fertilizer supply crisis because of the Ukraine conflict affecting South African farmers? This is you wanted to touch on the fertilizer situation.
Yeah.
I have that article that you sent me.
Please,
Um,
can you please put it up? This is,
yes. Well, it's not an
the
article.
guys
It's
should
more of
realize
a press release, I think.
statement.
A
It's a
statement.
media
Yeah.
statement from Yara.
Yes. I'm just gonna also pop you up here. Give me a second.
Okay,
There we go.
no problem.
Uh, circle.
Yeah.
All right. So there we
Mm.
go.
Well,
Yeah.
I think, and we must just state this very clearly, Joe, that this is an official statement from Yara on their website,
Yes.
and this is not a hoax.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's on their website.
Um,
There's the news media. I can still go back. This is
yeah,
Yara at the top here.
yeah.
Um, there we go. This is their
Mm.
official thing. I mean, I
Yeah,
can.
official website. Now, what people should realize, Yara is one of the next to Omnia and a few other. There's another company, but Yara um, has plants in Italy, Sweden, Germany, and France. And I see now, actually, this from March 22. There's an August statement as well, and the August statement says 4 million tons of nitrogen fertilizer. This was at 45% capacity in March.
Yeah.
They're now up to 60%, 80% capacity curtailing. And that is basically due to the gas supply being cut off to Europe from Russia. And the reason people don't understand is gas is needed for the production of nitrogen. And one of the byproducts of nitrogen manufacturing is CO2. Now, that CO2 is one of the most cleanest CO2s, and that CO2 is being used in the medical industry for cleaning instruments, safekeeping, and also for cool drink, gas in your cool drink. Um, Now, what this will happen if they could tell 4 million tons of um, ammonium nitrate, which is one of the bases for most of your nitrogen fertilizers. Um, it's not ammonium nitrate. Sorry, I'm wrong with that. It is, anyways, I'll get to that. But the impact this will have on the world. Now, look, every Europe will look after itself first. So whatever these companies will produce will first go to Europe. Now, Europe is in trouble with nitrogen. They don't have a sufficient supply of nitrogen. The United States already said, listen here, guys, we'll supply your shortage of fertilizer that you guys need. Now, where does South Africa fit into this little box of them? These. Where do we fit in? We're a small little, we're not even a drop in the bucket for them. You know, and that is what we are concerned about now. What will be the short term effect on the lack of, or of, because these guys, the big fertilizer producers in Europe, had to cut their production? What will be, or what does our future look like with fertilizer? I've already heard along the grapevine, though, that's been said that those farmers that can should buy up the fertilizer. Hang on. How many farmers in South Africa is able to buy up 50% of their fertilizer usage for the year? Less than
Yeah.
less
Because
than 5%.
I mean, that's super expensive to do that.
Expensive. Don't even touch it. A year ago, urea, which is one of an ammonium nitrate, or um, urea, for instance, was 7,000 rand a ton. Urea is now 14,000 rand a ton. Mono ammonium phosphate, MRP or MAP. It's called. I think I'll type it quickly in the so that people will see. They can go and Google it. MAP. That was about 8 grand a ton. MAP is, or MRP is now 1,000 rand a ton. Potassium sulfate. Potassium sulfate, a very important part of our production. We're talking 24,000 rand a ton. Potassium sulfate was a year ago between 9 and 11,000 rand a ton, doubling in the price.
So on top of load shedding that has its own now new expenses for you, you also have this fertilizer issue that is actually driving up your costs again, correct?
Yeah, for the past year, it's been driving up our costs. And the problem is, whenever we do get fertilizer, um, we try and buy it out. But here's the thing, Joe, and I'm going to type this in the chat because I don't think people know or understand. So I'm going to type this and you can put it up on the screen. And this is the amount of debt that is currently in the South African sphere, in the agriculture sphere alone. That is the amount of debt. Put it in, you can put it up on the screen.
So just in the agriculture sector, this is how much is owed.
That's owed in debt. You can put that one up on the screen.
Yeah, it's there. It's
250
billion.
billion
Yeah.
of debt in the agricultural sector. Just think, what if we have to withdraw that amount of money from our economy, what that will do, the bank system, the private sector.
And the debt just keeps on piling, I'm assuming. It's not getting less.
This is production cost and farms that's being paid off.
Yeah.
This is the whole package of debt that's currently in South Africa.
Sure.
Ja, 250 miljard, dis in Afrikaans. The total package of debt in South Africa. Now, Joe, let's take, and now I'm getting back to the EWC question.
Yeah.
We've now touched base on a lot of things, and there's one thing I think we should still touch base on, and that's greylisting.
Yes, we will.
This is the amount of debt that we sit with in South Africa, in the agricultural sector, right? 250 billion. All right. If this bill was as serious as some, and I'm saying this, there are people out there using this for political gain, and some people for clicks. And yes, take out your pitchforks and tar us and feather me. Wouldn't the banks have started making a lot of noise? Now, only 50 billion of that amount is land bank. The rest is private banks. Wouldn't we have heard the banks start making a lot of noise? Have you heard any banks making a lot of noise this week?
Mm-mm.
They all know that there's enough opposition in South Africa to this EWC bill and act that passed. This thing can still go, will go to the Constitutional Court. We have the IRR, we have AfriForum, we have Solidariteit, we have the Freedom Front Plus, and we have the DA. A lot of opposition. You want to tell me between those, all the opposition, we won't have somebody that will fight this bill up until the end? We will. And that's the thing. And the banks are keeping quiet because I won't make any noise now to have my positions market affected. Because I really don't want the banks to make too much noise, because I might need to borrow money from the banks tomorrow. So once again, getting back to the EWC, that's why I'm not concerned at this stage about a bill, an act. It's not been enacted yet, so sorry guys, I'm scratching my nose. There's a lot of pollen in the air, so sorry Joe about that. Ask your viewers. So looking at all of this, what is the immediate threat to food security in South Africa? It's Eskom. It's a police minister that doesn't want to actually do his work. The fact that we are experiencing a humongous upsurge in prices within the agricultural sector for input costs. And there goes my video.
No, you still with me?
Jeez, this, sorry about these.
I can
This
still see
the
you.
internet is, yeah. Uh, uh, so all of this is currently our immediate future a problem, right? We still have our own security that we have to care about. You know, our workers' security, and all of this start piling up. So people should look holistically at what is going on around us. The pinch you feel at the pet pump, the pinch you feel when you go do shopping. Um, if you buy a potato today for 5 rand and tomorrow it's costing you 7 rand, that exact same pinch we are feeling in the agricultural sector. But we must be depressed about this, at least, and lucky enough for that. We still have organizations like the Southern Africa Agri Initiative, Dr. Tudor Jager and his team from SAI fighting for us, AfriForum out there, the DA, the Freedom Front Plus. There's a lot of guys out there still fighting for us. But you as a consumer are going to pay the price in the end.
Yeah. You mentioned now food security, and I think we'll end the discussion on that topic, because first I want to also, for those who may not know, South Africa is at the verge of being greylisted, which I didn't even know was a thing until I saw that article. Can you maybe explain to the people that are listening what exactly does it mean for a country to be grey listed, and how does this impact the agriculture sector?
Joe, I'm going to give my understanding of this, and please, if the economists in this or listening to this, don't kill me. Greylisting means that your government is at such a state that investing into the government or the country is a risk because of corruption. And what this will cause is we'll become less desirable for investment opportunities into South Africa. And it will also bottleneck foreign currency flowing into South Africa and flowing out, because there are checks and balances that I could understand from, I spoke to economists. There's certain checks and balances. So every rand and cent and dollar will be checked flowing in and out of South Africa. And the major reason for that, and people are missing this thing, grey listing, this will have an immediate effect on our markets. Because if you take multinational companies that are listed on the JSE, companies that has foreign currency flowing in and out. Now, let's go back to the agricultural sector. Companies like Yara, companies like Makashima Gun, Bayer, Monsanto, all of these companies, multinational companies who holds a stake in South Africa, are now going to struggle to have their foreign currency move in and out of South Africa. And what will be the effect if the rand suddenly starts? And that's the lookout. We're already at 17 rand 50, 18 rand to the dollar. If we are grey listed and our market, the people don't see South Africa as a great investment opportunity, then the fair weather economists are lying to us. By January next year, we'll be seeing 21 rand. And I can't remember who it was from the IRR who said, I'm not sure who was it, that actually predicted this from happening a year ago. And everybody said he's crazy.
Probably
And
John.
now it's becoming a reality.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just I'm actually trying to read a bit of what's going on in the chats here.
Well, Behave, I think, Behave is very good. Well, I don't know if he's an accountant or something. I mean, he's always been good with math, and he's a frequent viewer of this channel. I don't know what exactly it is he does. But he says that greylisting is not just because of fraud or corruption. The greylisting is due to high risk of defaulting on debt, and has shown a track record of defaulting on debt regardless or reason.
So basically, we're combining two things here. And if that is a problem, defaulting on debt, what will happen? I'm asking the viewers here, what's the impact that we're going to experience?
Yeah. So I think basically it's similar to like when if you were to take a loan from the bank as a for your personal use or maybe even a business, and you don't basically pay your debt back, you get blacklisted. But in
Yeah.
this case, a country gets gray listed. I'm sure the country can also be blacklisted, but this is like
Mm.
a very serious warning, I'm assuming. And like you said, if we're not desirable, ironically, this is on the heels of President Cyril Ramaphosa going to Biden and saying that he's going to Cyril said to Biden that he's going to try and make South Africa more environmental friendly for investors. I don't think that's happening, but regardless, more like you said, more investors are or companies will leave because they're like, well, we're not going to get our shit back, so that's a problem.
Here's the Joe. Here's the thing. All right, our harbors are currently in such a state that the South Africans farmers are struggling with citrus to export their citrus. All right. Whereas then you go just across the border into Mozambique in Maputo and you see the upgrades that's being done to that harbor.
Mm.
It's going to make Durban look like a kindergarten if they're done with that harbor. You see, now you start to see people are foraying, or rather going into Botswana, Zambia, Tanzania, Malawi, even, and Mozambique. And Angola. Angola is becoming a more desirable investment opportunity because you're paying 6, 7 rand a liter of diesel for fuel in Angola. So the best of the best, and that is what's currently happening in the agricultural sector. The best of the best are leaving South Africa for better opportunities outside of South Africa. The typical brain drain. We had a thing maybe 30, 40 years ago where when 10 youngsters left the farm, 6 or 7 would have come back after school or after graduating. They would have come back to the farm. Some of them would have been engineers. Some would have been fitters and turners. Some would have been mechanics. We brought a lot of industry um, intelligence and knowledge back to the agricultural sector. Now, today, it didn't change. 10 youngsters are still leaving the farm. We're lucky if we get 2 of those youngsters coming back. And usually it was those like me who were too bloody naughty at school to learn or university. We didn't want to learn, so it's better off to go and work for dad or farm. So the reality is we're losing a huge amount of intellect out of our industry, and that is more concerning for me at this stage than a freaking bill that was passed a week ago.
Well, it's it feels like the ANC is in a way attacking the agriculture sector in many different levels or aspects, and at the same time you have this fertilizer issue, which is an international problem that's also now causing pressure on you guys. And then, of course, like you touched on it earlier, Begitele not doing his job, the police minister not protecting the farmers at all. We've got farm attacks happening all the time. You yourself, you work on patrol in your area. You're a medic when you do patrol, and I've seen some of your stories. And so not only are you farming and trying to earn a living and provide food for the country, you're also trying to protect your own land because the government has failed to protect you. So that's also, I'm assuming, out of your own pocket, it's petrol to patrol. It's petrol. It's all that stuff to protect your family. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, everything we do for our community is out of our own pocket. So yeah, but what do I do if an Joe, the major thing for me is, yes, we have all these negative things piling up. But if I cannot stand my ground and try and make a difference, it's better for me to sell my property, pack up my bags, and leave for Australia or the United States. And you know what? The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Their problems, we have our problems. But if you're listening to this tonight and you tell me it's dark and we cannot make a difference, we still have good people in this country. We still have people out there that's still willing to stand up and say, you know what? No. Even if you greylist us, even we have problems with Eskom, yes, it's cutting my production. I will still stand. I'm still going to fight to have you fix Eskom. We're going to put pressure on you via different organizations. The Even if President Ramaphosa lies to Biden to pull their own pockets again, because I don't believe the money that they're going to get from green investment is going to see green investment. It will just be another RDP house project. Probably a few RDP houses with solar geysers and a solar panel, but yeah. um, the thing is, we cannot sit still. Within your community, if you're sitting at home or on your farm and you want to tell me that it doesn't help you getting involved in your community, believe me, pack your bags, sell your farm, and go to Australia. Because there's some of us that's still here tonight. Some of us will still see a future. Yes, my dark future. But you know what? The sun will come up tomorrow morning again. We will have an. We hope for the best. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Yes. Well, I got two things to add to that.
With all this,
Sorry.
we can easily get. Yeah,
Sorry. I got two things to add to that. One,
no, continue, please.
with you're saying that you said, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's I heard someone say the other day, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it, which I think really changed my perspective on the whole, trying to get out of the
Correct.
country. Yes, when shit hits the fan, have a backup plan. I mean, Herman, you could always come to the independent, Republic of Cape Town when the time is right. So I mean, it's not too far. You visit this country every now and again. But it is true. We often hear guys like Ramon and other people on YouTube, South African YouTubers, say, get to know your community, build a community, protect yourselves, create those enclaves to protect yourselves. And I think the inevitable of the state collapse is happening. And you will only have those around you to help you survive it. So on that note, yes, I think you can survive in South Africa. Let's face it, not everybody can leave this country. It's expensive. It's a tall order to ask. I know what it's like to move countries. It's not easy at all, but you can survive here, definitely. And just to also touch on the final thing that we wanted to talk about is food security. You told me something, and this is one of the reasons why you're not too worried about EWC Bill. You told me that food security it should be our first worry, not anything else but that. And
Yeah.
in a way, everything we've spoken about tonight relates to that. But I'm going to ask you a very specific question. Do you think we are going to run out of food soon? Is it a year thing? Is it a 2-year thing? 5-year
No,
thing?
not yet.
Okay.
Joe, remember, and this is what we must understand. Again, all of these things I talked about tonight that we touched on to, it's a domino effect. I said it in the beginning. even with us and with food security, it's not going to go and the lights are switched off. Um, and suddenly there's no food. It's going to be a gradual process. Um, Even within Zim, when they started confiscating the farm, the lack of food wasn't the one day there was still bread and the next day it wasn't. No, gradual decline because we have silos all over South Africa. Forecast here is that we're going to have exceptionally good summer crops of maize. We have an exceptionally good winter crop. It seems like the Swartlander had good rain this year, and I'm really glad for those farms because of the drought 2 years ago. They couldn't produce proper wheat. So yes, we all have ship coming in. Then what people must understand, South Africa is a net importer. All right. Some of the bread that you are eating is wheat from the Ukraine. All right. So our silos will be full. There will be a gradual decrease in availability of food. I can't put a time frame on it. It will all depend on how and what all plays out to be within the next year or two. What will be the tension between the West and the East currently? But food security is a thing that should be built in an upwards curve. Currently in South Africa, yes, we are in the downwards curve with our food security. And it's these stepping stones, these steps that we take one every time closer, closer. Eskom, maybe 5 steps. Fertilizer, 1 step. Then certain things become unavailable, 1 step. But we will still find ways to produce. But in the end, it won't be enough. Farmers will start falling wayside. Um, People might start their jobs slowly, gradually. Might take 5 years, 10 years. It might happen in 2 years. We don't know. But be warned. Start supporting our farmers. Start help us fight this thing. And just on that side, I see one of my people from my community is in it tonight, Elzan Furi.
Ah,
I'm really happy to see the people from our community being here. Yeah. So to get back onto topic, so yes, let us kick and shout about EWC. Yes, put it on the front page of every newspaper, every YouTube channel, TikTok, Facebook page. It's not going to make a difference. Rather start focusing and let's start trying to turn this trend of our gradual decrease um, in our food security. One thing, and I want to mention this, and I'll give this to China. China has food banks. China has focused that by 2020, 2030, they want to be independent, totally food independent. How the heck? 3 billion people. 3 billion people. That country has food banks in place. We have a few silos throughout South Africa. That's not a food bank. So we should start looking at that and rather start focusing what is important. Start helping organizations like SAI, the Southern Africa Agri Initiative. You know what? You can join even if you're not a farmer. By joining them and helping them, 150 Rand a month, you're actually helping us as farmers to have a fight, to have a voice. Because Dr. Tudor Jager has done an amazing job for our farmers, representing us throughout the world. And help organizations that's willing to stand for us. And I'm saying straight, organizations prefer them. Are much more. The IRR, as I said, the DA, the Freedom Front Plus, pick a pick and start getting involved. You might not feel the brunt of the food security. But believe me, when we get to that day that you will stand in line at the shop to be rationed, to receive just enough food, and you count your money, mark what happened in Germany in the 20s and late 20s, 30s. You know, start start planting your own veg. Learn how to be self-sustainable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, well, again, those of you that can should try. It's not always easy depending on where you live, but there are ways and means of doing so. There's many people on YouTube that even if you live in an apartment, you can still grow your own crops and stuff like that. You just gotta Google. Google is your friend. There are many ways to do it, but yeah, it's. I think Herman, you have painted a very good story to tell as to why South Africans shouldn't be worried about EWC. I'm still worried about it a little bit because there are some interesting clauses in the bill that, if they were to pass, would be problematic. I do have one question though. Do you know if, because obviously now people are going to oppose it. I know the IRR is going to oppose it. I know AfriForum is going to oppose it. They've announced that. So that it is going to go to court. We know that. If the bill is in court, or however you want to phrase that, if it's in court, if they're battling it in court, does that mean the ANC cannot implement what is said in that bill? So they can't like expropriate while it's in court?
I'm sure, Joe. I do not know the legal technicalities on it. I think we should get
Okay.
a expert, a person knowledgeable in that, to explain that to me. Explain that to us. So I don't know. I hope, as far as I know, I don't think you can enact a law if it's still contested in court. But yeah, look, you should be wary. Look, I'm not saying I'm not wary of the bill. It gave us a clear intention from the ANC side that they want to change the constitution.
Yeah.
All right, a law is the law, and a law can be interpreted in different ways, and it still needs to be, and a law still needs to be enacted by court, not by people. Right? We obey the law. The court power to enact, as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, a law. So it's not going to be easy to take your farm. But yes, the red lights and warnings should on for people. And this is a clear path, I think, that has been sketched for us on what the ANC intends to do. But did we expect less? This has been coming a long time. These things have been spoken about at the CODESA, when they were doing CODESA. This was on the table. We conveniently forgot that. We conveniently forgot that. We conveniently forget that the current crop of ANC leadership have been trained by Marxists, by communists. So all of those things, we conveniently forget that and think, oh, great, here we have a democratic country. We should keep these things in mind. But once again, I get back to my point. Should I fear this bill? No. It gives me a clear intention of what's going to come in the future. Might, listen to me carefully, might. As long as we have good organizations and opposition parties that we support, then we have a chance to stop this thing from being a reality in South Africa. But if we sit at home saying it won't make a difference, yes, then in 2-3 years' time, we might have the constitution changed.
Yeah.
And we won't have any property rights.
And let me ask you a final question. If the bill does get passed, let's say, the fertilizer thing is now, that's a thing of the past. ESCOM fixes itself, which is highly unlikely, but let's just go hypothetically here. And everything else is slowly getting back to a financial stability for you as a farmer. And then ANC decides, cool, it's implemented, it's happening, it's now law, EWC is a thing. Are you going to stay or will you leave? Do you have a backup plan?
Joe, I always tell farmers, have a backup plan, not for yourself, but for your family. Um, I have a little bit of a backup plan, um, but this plan is not for me, it's for my family. Um, if they do change the constitution one day, and it and they say now that all property belongs to the state, like what I'll probably leave. I'll probably take those skills. I'm not going to be one of those stupid ones and say I'm going to pick up my gun and shoot the living crap out of it. You know what? If you can shoot somebody else, they can shoot back. I'll rather go and take my skills to another country, to other people where which is deserving of it, and which will accept my skills, and rather go and build in a new country then. So yes, in a way, maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure at this stage. I will see. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of a backup plan. I would suggest to many South Africans, if you can, where you can, have an offshore investment if you can. Not all can afford it, even if it's small. But that just that reinsurance that you should something ever happen, that you can get your family out.
Yeah. Man,
And that's for me is the most important people in my life. Is my family. My son and my wife are the two most important.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I agree with that 100%. Always have a backup plan. Even if that backup plan involves you staying here, okay, well, what is that? Like, are you going to border yourself up, protect yourself, get the community together, like I said, enclaves, and you decide, cool, we're going to protect each other at all costs to keep our house, to keep whatever, and protect one another. If that's the case, then so be it. I try not to encourage people to leave South Africa because, like you said, Herman, there is a brain drain happening at the moment, and there is opportunity as glim as it looks. There is opportunity everywhere, and look, Cape Independence is coming. We're gonna be fine.
Joe, if we ran away for every little problem that we face every day within South Africa, you know what? Where to will we run eventually? Because you
Yeah,
will never stop running. Doesn't matter
yeah,
to which country you go to. I have been privileged to have been uh, to many countries.
yeah,
You know what? In the end, my heart yearns back to South Africa.
yeah,
The only place where I never felt that I wasn't welcome, that I still felt at home, was when I was traveling this continent. Wherever I travel in on the continent of Africa, I never felt that I don't belong. Doesn't matter if it's Tanzania or wherever. This continent, once you have shed your blood and put your blood, sweat, and tears into this soil and ground, you know what? It becomes part of you. And that's an old African saying. We have paid with blood, sweat, and tears. We were born out of this soil. We will return to this soil. Doesn't matter where you are in this. So to do stupid things, um, when you say around the bar or place where you're drinking too much, saying stupid things, and um, trying to encourage people to do stupid things, don't don't talk about war because you don't understand war. None of us have been in war, and I will never encourage it. I think it's a stupid idea. Rather focus on the positive things, the things that we can change to avert these ever to avert a situation where people will be in trouble. But I have also seen human beings. We as human beings are resilient. Whenever we organically, people will migrate together. They'll start forming enclaves. We are already seeing it in South Africa. Security estates. The formation of security in states is an organic reaction to law, to areas where there's no law being implemented, police action. People are protecting themselves. We will move towards that, and I do believe Ron Kabanak is correct. We will move to that eventually, but it's going to happen gradually and it's going to happen organically.
Absolutely. And Ramon isn't the only one who says that. Former, I should say, former CEO of IRR also said, not John Unger, sorry, Franz Cornier also,
France, Korea,
yeah, mentioned enclaves as the future of South Africa. And you know what, Herman, we're running out of time. So on that note, I just want to leave you with a positive comment that came in from Rob Peters saying, "Good conversation, gents. Herman, I'm gonna read this in Afrikaans, but bear with me. Jy het goed in duidelik gepraat.
Put it
Dankie."
up on the screen, man.
It is on the screen. Dankie verfrissend. We have a heck of a lot to overcome in South Africa, and I sincerely believe we will. It was on the screen.
That's now Rob being bilingual. Hy het nou so 'n bietjie met jou brein gesmokkel daarso. So tussen die Afrikaans en die Engels en ja, dit is goed. Rob, ek hou baie van wat ek daar sien is to change between Afrikaans and English, you know, Joe, lost on the last note. You know, one of the things in South Africa I do encourage people is to not just be able to speak Afrikaans and English fluently. Jy moet nog 'n Afrika taal kan praat. As jy in die Kaap is, if you're in Cape Town, try and learn Xhosa. Up here in the north, we speak Tswana or Fanagalo. It's never bad to learn an African language. And you know what? To bridge the cultural divide between the people is language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Language.
Yeah.
That's all from my side.
Yeah.
And Joe, thank you for having me on the channel. I know I'm saying goodbye now, but it's not how it works. But I do appreciate taking every time that you bring me on the channel to talk. So for me, it's very important. And I do hope that you can get in contact with Dr. Theo de Jager from SAI to bring also from his side a refreshing view, because he also has a very fresh view and a positive outlook on life.
Yes, I've had Theo before on the show. I think you got me in contact with him. So I'll reach out to him again and see if he's available for sure. But Herman, once again, dude, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. I'll definitely have you, as always, back again. Thank you for the update on the agriculture sector, at least from your point of view. And yeah, best of luck, my friend. Best of luck. I'm sure I'll be on your farm soon to experience the great outdoors once again, and much love to your family. And once again, thanks for your time, Herman.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Joe, and thank you to the viewers.
All right.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.